What is up, Early Edge family? Happy Tuesday. What a week it already has been. Let's just get right into it. Let's take a look at the recap screen and see how we did yesterday. What do we got? I think we've got a 4-1 record. We only lose the plus money play on the Oilers. Oilers plus 120. That didn't come in, but Amax, Propstarz, myself, and Buckets, clean record, 4-1. That is how we want to do it. By the way, everybody in the chat, thank you for being in here. We're congratulating Japan on something. I'm not exactly sure what it is in this moment. I'll have to go back and check, but hit the like button for Japan. By the way, today, before I bring in the stars of the show, today at 2 o'clock, The Early Edge is on CBS Sports Network, and you might see some familiar faces, including this host right here. I'll be hosting that show, so make sure you are tied into the 2 o'clock show. We're going to be going an hour talking U.S. Open, talking soccer, talking NBA, talking college basketball. We're going to be talking all kinds of things, including maybe some NFL futures and, of course, Major League Baseball. And don't forget, the early wedge tonight at 7 o'clock. You want U.S. Open, you got it on CBS Sports Network and on our SportsLine YouTube channel. It'll be me, Patrick McDonald, and Eric Cohen on that one at 7 o'clock tonight. Hopefully you can join us for all of that, but you're joining us right here, right now. So let's get to the stars of the show. Let's bring them in. We've got Proppy, we've got Buckets, and we've got tomorrow's birthday boy. I'm going to change my tune here, Zack Cimini. You're my favorite, Zach. Zach Morris is number 2. Happy birthday tomorrow, my friend. Everybody in the chat, say happy birthday to Zach. Zach, how are you today?
I'm doing great, and I appreciate it. I think this is my 4th birthday on the show, and it's just a blast. I'm glad to be a part of the Early Edge in the community, and hoping for a good day right before the birthday. Let's get a winner today.
All right, let's get a winner. Dominic says, Sia, great call in the first 5, and I finally know what we're congratulating Japan for. Japan just had a baby boy, and I happen to know, and I think it was today or yesterday. Again, I got to catch up on the chat. Zach, before we get into your pick, something cool Japan did. Now, I don't know that a lot of us would have the courage to do this. He waited until the actual birth of what is now his boy to find out the gender. He and his wife didn't want to know beforehand, and he found out, I guess, today or earlier this morning they had a boy. Propstars, you have a story in that regard as well, I assume.
Kudos to Japan. That's a great story, Sia. I would also speculate Japan is not someone who seeks out spoilers before a movie or a show there. So very impressive discipline, which is a great component if you're a sports bettor. So kudos to Japan. I just wanted to wish my guy, Zach, a happy early birthday. Zach is a fantastic colleague, analyst, and an even better person. He's a tremendous friend. I'm honored to be friends with Zach, and I'm fired up. I'm caffeinated. We went 4-1 yesterday, Sia, and let's have a great show.
So, okay, Zach, I concur with everything Proppy just said. Buckets, you and I were kind of laughing before we get to Zach's pick because we were literally, Proppy was Googling Zach's because we were talking about our favorite Zachs. Of course, it's Zack Cimini, but he came up with a lot. Did you land on a favorite Zach? Of course, mine's Zack Cimini, maybe Zach Morris. It's a tie for first. I think Proppy was going with Zach Taylor. He had maybe a couple others in the repertoire. Any favorite Zachs for you, Buckets?
Sia, is there any chance you've played a game called League of Legends before?
I've heard of it. Does that count?
Okay, that does count. One of the champions in that game is named Zach, so that's my favorite Zach, but Zack Cimini is a close second here, if that does anything.
All right. Well, ouch to Zack Cimini. All right, Zach, let's rebound. Let's talk about your official pick. We're going to the diamond. What is it tonight?
Well, one of my non-favorite Zacks today is going to be Zach Wheeler because I'm taking the over on Philadelphia and the Boston Red Sox. For as great as he's been this season, Zach Wheeler, I am concerned about the amount of pitches he threw his last outing against the Milwaukee Brewers, a season-high 114 pitches. You have to go back almost 3 years the last time he threw that amount of pitches. The following outing 3 years ago, he was roughed up, gave up 7 runs to the Chicago Cubs. And then I look at the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm not concerned with them returning from their London series. They feast on right-handed pitching with a 27-8 record this year. To look at Carter Crawford and the Boston Red Sox, in his last 6 starts, they've lost each and every one of those. And at home, he's given up more runs as well. He's given up 4 or more runs in 3 consecutive home starts. I think Philadelphia gets a lopsided victory tonight. We may not even need the runs on the Boston Red Sox side of things. I'll go over the 8 runs between the Red Sox and the Phillies.
All right, over in the Phillies Red Sox game, Mark Hood says, I feel like Zach's pick is guaranteed to win on his birthday. Well, Zach, you have a little bit of an out because your birthday is actually tomorrow. So if somehow this pick loses, you can be like, well, it wasn't my birthday after all. So I feel like as your attorney, Sia Nejad Esquire on the case, we've built in an out. So no worries there. But I do like the Phillies Red Sox over 8 at -115. We've got a sports line pick before we get to the rest of them. We're going with the Mariners -1.5, -105. Thorpe is on the mound for the White Sox. This is a new pitcher. I think he's really only pitched some AA ball. Has some decent stuff, but it's Brian Wu on the mound for the Seattle Mariners. This is a pick I was considering. You'll hear my official pick in a little bit. And I saw you, Proppy, softly pelt out the woo, which was pretty cool. But yeah, we're going to take the Mariners -1.5 at home. This is -105. If you want to make that bet, or if you want to make Zach's birthday bet, go to BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10 and you'll receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get to the pitch. We got to get to Buckets. We got to get to my play. We got to get to Proppy's play. And we're going to do it right after this message from our partners.
We need your sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want the big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
We are back on the Early Edge, presented by BetMGM. Taylor Dutton says, yep, Mariners run line for sure. Absolutely love to hear that. All right, Buckets, you won yesterday. We're going to try to win again today. What's the play on the pitch?
See, before I tell you the pitch play, I've got to admit something to everybody. I bought a NutriBullet recently, and I've been experimenting with different morning smoothies, trying to be a healthier, better version of myself. And I made a concoction this morning that has actually made me immediately ill. So my goal is to get through this play without being sick. I thought it was very creative, but I will say, the Kraft boxes of mac and cheese?
Yes.
I took the cheese powder and used that as a base with mango and milk. That is not good at all. I chugged it, and I have been fighting for my life ever since. But with that being said, let's talk about some AFC World Cup qualifiers in Asia. We've got a great matchup here between Tajikistan and Pakistan, and this starts in 50 minutes. So you need to get this bet in immediately. And this is a very tough one because these are two teams that normally we would never bet on, right? Pakistan has played 5 matches. They have 0 wins, 0 draws, 5 losses. They have scored once, and in those 5 games, they've conceded 23 goals. Meanwhile, Tajikistan has played 5 matches, and they've only scored in 2 of those 5 matches. However, 6 of those goals happened last time they played Pakistan. Tajikistan is not a team that generally likes to do well in these competitions, but Tajikistan is the kind of team that when they play a team that's worse than them, they run up the scoreboard, they use them as a punching bag, and they get that good feeling out of it. Tajikistan, the first time they played, scored 4 times in the first half against Pakistan on the road. And all I need for them to cash this ticket is for them to score twice in the first half. I'm going with Tajikistan over 1.5 team total in the first half at -135. It's a little bit of juice, but I'm telling all of you right now, if you want to ladder, or if you were a type of ladder person, this is the kind of match you need to ladder, because Tajikistan might score 3 or 4 or 5 in the first half. But I'm playing it safe. I'm playing it simple with that over 1.5, but have some fun with this one and make sure you're betting responsibly.
All right, I'm glad we have the lower third for your pick, because honestly, I wasn't listening. I was just looking in the comments because your cheese incident.
It sounded so good in theory. I love cheese. I love mac and cheese.
It did not sound so good in theory. Actually, I think Proppy has gotten pale ever since you told this story. Chris Kish says, bro. Brian Smith says, LOL, what? Let's see. Japan says, Sia, where did you find this guy? I didn't find him. This is not on me. Proppy, go ahead.
This is not the show you want to be sitting directly underneath Buckets. Let me just tell you, it has been a dangerous stream so far, and I'm just hoping that we can get through this without any more incidents.
Wow. I want to forget everything you just said on the front end of that. We've got a question for Proppy. Proppy, I'm going to kick this to you. You might not have an opinion here, because this is not a game. I'm looking at your pick. It's not a game you focused upon. And I'll kick this to Zach too, in case you have an opinion. Do you like Paul Skeens over 17.5 outs tonight?
If I was going to back Skeens, I would back him more in the strikeout category at 7.5, even though that's a really big number. I'd lean over, but with Skeens, in my opinion, because of the Pirates season, how great of a prospect he is, I do feel like if he gets into trouble, especially later into the outing in the 5th inning and the 6th inning, obviously he has to go 6 in order to cash this. They'll pull him pretty quickly if he gives up a couple of walks or maybe leads off the inning with a hit or two. So I'm more comfortable even with the high strikeout number, taking him on the strikeouts, but actually lean under on both his outs and his Ks against a Cardinals team that's been a bit better recently.
Yeah. Zach, any opinions here on Paul Skeens today at St. Louis?
Yeah, I would just continue to ride the hot wave of the young rookie. What we've seen what he did against the Chicago Cubs, against the Dodgers last week. Until I see anything different, you want to keep riding it. They've adjusted, but keep riding it.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Judah Baker says, "What's up, guys? Been missing you, fam. Great to be back in the chat." Judah, great to have you back in the chat. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully you can join us the rest of the week and today on CBS Sports Network at 2:00 and tonight on the early wedge at 7:00. All right, let's get to my pick. I'm going with a team that I don't think I've backed yet this year. I'm going with the first 5, of course, and I went Baltimore yesterday. Well, we're going down 495 a little bit. Yes, I know they were road games, but we're going to the Nationals. We're going to Washington with Mitchell Parker on the mound. We're taking the first 5 here. I think Mitchell Parker's been good, for the record. I mean, if you look at his last pretty much 4 or 5 games, we're looking at pretty quality outings. He's going relatively long. This is a guy that's a relative unknown rookie. I've been really impressed with him, though, especially since 2 of his last 3 starts have been against the Braves. This Nationals team, by the way, they're only 5 games under 500. This is not the Nationals team that we expected. They just swept the Atlanta Braves. I don't think they're going to be like, sweeping teams like the caliber of the Atlanta Braves the rest of the way, but they're playing Detroit and they're playing Kenta Maeda, who I think is a big-time unknown. And I think that's part of the reason you're seeing Mitchell Parker in the Nationals first 5 money line -110. I think this line would surprise some people. I think people would expect Nationals going into Detroit to be like +100, +105. That's part of the reason I'm kind of attracted to this line. Kenta Maeda, first of all, last game, he had to leave because of an abdominal injury. I assume he's okay. I don't know that for a fact. And in the game before that, he got absolutely lit up. He's had some good outings. He's had some bad outings. But this Nationals team isn't a terrible hitting team at this point, certainly not in the last 20 days. They've been up against good competition, specifically Mitchell Parker up against some good competition. And Kenta Maeda is such a wild card that I'm willing to take the chance on the Nationals going into Detroit today. I think Mitchell Parker can keep the runs low, but I think even if he doesn't, we could see potentially another blow-up spot with Kenta Maeda. So give me the Nationals first 5 money line -110. All right, that's my play. That's at 6:40 tonight, Eastern Standard Time. Proppy, let's get to your baseball play while I look in the chat and see if there's any questions for us.
I also like your pick as well, Sia. And the last thing I would add to it is Kerry Carpenter, the best bat for the Tigers, is out of the lineup there. So that's a big boost for the Nationals, in my opinion, as well. I'm going to fade Yankees pitcher Marcus Strowman. I'm going under 16.5 pitching outs. That's less than 5 2/3 innings for Strowman. Strowman's had a solid debut season in New York. If you look at the raw numbers, they're fairly solid, the ERA of 3. However, if we look under the hood, as I like to say, at the underlying metrics, a lot of the expected stats, he has not been as good as advertised. He's close to a 5 ERA as expected. And he looks to me like a pretty significant regression candidate here. And he's facing an excellent Royals team who have a very good home field advantage as well. The Royals offer a top 10 OPS versus opposing right-handed pitching, in addition to a bottom 5 K rate. They're very stingy as well. And the Kauffman Stadium, I think, is one of the more underrated, as Mike would say as well, hitter-friendly environment. So a difficult place to play on the road. I just think 6 innings is a big ask against this Royals team that I think is going to have a much better showing than they did yesterday. So I like fading Marcus Strowman under 16.5 pitching outs. If you got this when I gave this out last night on the site, it was 17.5. Still comfortable with it at 16.5 here. But yeah, I love fading Strowman here under 16.5 pitching outs.
All right, we're taking Strowman's under 16.5 outs. A couple of chat comments. I want to shout out Clee fan, which I assume is Cleveland fan. Longtime lurker, he or she says, longtime SportsLine subscriber, just made a YouTube account and subscribed to be able to comment. Hit a +2,000 MLB parlay last night. Wishing good luck to everyone else. Yeah, if you're not already a subscriber to our YouTube page, please do what CLE fan did so that you can comment in the chat, because I believe it's the settings are, if you're a subscriber to our YouTube channel, you can comment in the chat. So absolutely love that. CLE fan, welcome to the family. Absolutely love to see you in here. There was also a comment from Chris Kish. Let's talk US Open just for a second. He says, my first play is Victor Hovland over Hideki Matsuyama and Cameron Smith at plus 135. That would be a 3-ball tournament matchup. And he says, looking forward to see us shredding this. Here's the thing. I like Hideki Matsuyama a lot this tournament. In fact, he was my first click as an outright at 50-1. I think Victor Hovland is fine. I don't know, like plus 135, it's a good number, Chris. I really like the Hideki side of that matchup, though, because in really tough conditions, which is what we're going to see over 4 rounds here at Pinehurst number 2, I think Hideki is, and maybe even Cameron Smith, are better fit than Victor Hovland. So that's a 3-ball matchup I personally would stay away from. In fact, I like some Hideki matchups that I'll talk about on the early wedge tonight. One that's over at BetMGM that I really like. Real quick, there was somebody on that wanted to ask Proppy and Zach. I'm going to go to you. Listen, I know you didn't come to the show with strikeout plays, but Zach, somebody like Jesus Luzardo over 4.5 strikeouts. The Marlins are at the Mets. Luzardo going up against Tyler McGill. I actually leaned to the Mets last night. This line has moved in the Mets direction. Luzardo's kind of been pretty up and down. Zach, any opinion on over 4.5 strikeouts here?
That would be a stay away from me. I was on that game, his last start. I was on the Rays, and he had a 3-0 lead. I was very concerned I was going to lose that game. Then before I knew it, he gave up 5 runs, I think it was, in the 4th inning, was pulled. And he's had a couple extra days off, but divisional opponent in the Mets, I just don't trust him right now, so it would be a stay away from me on that one. All
right, Proppy.
Yeah, the Mets have been swinging the bats very well recently, particularly since basically for the last month, since May 1st, particularly against opposing left-handed pitching as well. I believe they have a top 5 OPS since May 1st against opposing southpaws. So much more difficult matchup than it may appear at first glance. If you look at the season-long results for this Mets team, obviously a lot of familiarity too, being division rivals, have lots of historic results against Luzardo. So it is a low number. Luzardo is certainly capable of going over. I just think it's a difficult matchup. I'd look elsewhere personally.
And Zach, one more question for you and Buckets, then I'll get to you, because I know you're on that over in the Phillies game. Tim McConaughey, am I saying that right? McConaughey? He is wondering, Phillies ladder 4.5, 5.5. Is that something you would consider?
Yeah, I did mention I do think the Phillies should be able to put up enough runs and to get this over. That's the main reason why I took this total. So I feel fine with that. Go ahead and do that. See if you can get that plus payout of Steph, especially with the way they lost to the Mets in that London series with the Castellanos double play.
Yeah, absolutely. Buckets, go ahead.
I've got 2 things, Sia. Number 1 is for the chat. I want everybody to know that last night I ordered a custom 20-sided D&D Buckets new die. So that'll be coming in the next week or so. And when that arrives, we will have to break it out here on the show for some home run props that I know that everybody loves. So just want to keep you all in the loop in that. But second, I also, Sia, have a question for Zach and Alex here. Proppy. This is from Brock Newsome. He said, I have a huge question. Anyone trying to fade a few debt bats today? DET bats? I don't know what that means. So I'm going to ask Zach and Proppy what that means.
Detroit.
Well, are we fading Detroit bats today, Proppy?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to know who we're talking about, just to give you a little more insight into. But yeah, I do think that Detroit's lineup should struggle against Mitchell Parker. He's a very good left-handed pitcher. Detroit struggles against lefties, so just have to know who we're talking about, what the number is, and what the odds are, and I can give you a little more insight into the play.
Well, Buckets, I thought it was a great question. I'm going to give a more definitive answer because Proppy is clearly waffling. Such a political guy. You and him on the same ticket. I totally get it now. Yeah, we're fading Detroit bats because we've got the Nationals first 5. If you joined us late, Brock Newsome, we like the Nationals in the first 5, so we're definitely fading Detroit bats. I'm hoping this is like a 2-0, 3-1 affair, if not 6-0. Maybe Maeda blows up again. Who knows? But yeah, I certainly wouldn't be on Detroit bats today. Trying to see if we missed anything. I know there's some question. Oh no, Big Cheesy had some Bobby Witt props. So check that out. Big Cheesy's been very hot. He likes the total bases and something else. And let's see. Is there anything else? That's probably it. Sorry if I missed your question or your comment. but we're going to be answering a lot of your questions and comments today. Reminder, 2 p.m., we've got the early edge on. It's going to be a much bigger edition of this show on CBS Sports Network. A lot of U.S. Open talk, a lot of NBA, MLB, a little NHL. We're going to cover it all, including some futures talk as well. And then, of course, the early wedge tonight at 7 o'clock. Make sure you join us for that one, hosted, of course, by Eric Cohen. It'll be me and Patrick McDonald along for the ride on that one. All right, let's take a look at the recap screen. Very happy to hear about the dice buckets. Extremely happy because we're going to have some home run props later on in the week. All right, Zack Cimini, Phillies Reds over 8 at -115. He doesn't mind the latter play that was suggested by the chat. Nationals, first 5 money line, -110. That's my pick. Buckets, Tajikistan, team total over 1.5. First half, -135. Propstarz, Marcus Strowman under 16.5 outs at even money. And the SportsLine pick, we're going with Woo. Mariners, -1.5, -105. Woo! All right, ladies and gentlemen, what a great show. Thanks for being in here. I see you, Moshi. Big Cheesy, thanks for all the picks. Chris Kish, thanks for all the picks. A-Mags is in the chat. Hopefully you got some questions in on him. He says, good luck today, y'all. Let's run it back. Let's go 4-1 again, or however many picks we have. Let's have one loss and the rest of them wins. That's what I'm looking for. We'll see you again on CBS Sports Network at 2 o'clock. But for now, on behalf of Zack Cimini and his birthday, a big happy birthday tomorrow to Zack Cimini, on behalf of Propstarz, on behalf of Buckets and Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s, I'm the Counselor of Cash, Sia Nejad. We rest our case.